I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I know the problem, you've got just one policy. You do the opposite of what the Donald does. Don't know what you believe just because you got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Open the borders, let Mamdani pick your pocket. Let the boys beat the girls, they got that extra rocket. A theology degree from Starbucks. You declare that America sucks. You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. If you're red, alright, let's get this party started. If you're left, you're blue and probably retarded. Like Rosie, De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, Kathy Griffin. No kings, no kidding, we don't live in Great Britain. If J6 was the worst thing you've ever seen, Soros, burning Sadie's a mostly peaceful thing. Bring back the cartels, commute their crimes, sack the fact checkers like the New York Times. He's a Nazi, a fascist, a racist dictator who lets you say what you want to say.
Luke, I am your daddy.
You got that TDS. You tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. No matter what he says, you must be really dumb, 'cause you keep blaming Trump for your problem.
Side effects of Trump derangement syndrome may include violent behavior, delusions, nightmares, insomnia, irrational hatred, hopelessness, anxiety, depression, blue hair, tantrums, inability to form coherent speech, difficulty maintaining gainful employment, and verbal diarrhea.
There is no cure in sight.
Guys, welcome to the program. How's it going? We're going to have an interesting education and reveal bit for today. Do me a favor, raise a finger and share this program. Otherwise, amongst us, known as giving me the finger. Doesn't matter what finger you give me, but share this program. Hey, a little bit of note of housekeeping. Once I finish this program, I'm going to do an Ask Me Everything. Everybody has a ton of questions. And so we'll hop over to locals. You'll be able to ask me about, hey, what's going on, what's happening, whatever. We'll have a discussion. If you're on Rumble, you'll actually be able to see a red oval, which you can click, which says join, right? And you can jump over and join me, but that'll immediately be following this program. Everything that I do in content is to help make you the smartest patriot in the room. And it should teach you and it should reveal things to you. It should help you understand what's going on. Part of what I'm going to cover today is I'm going to introduce you to the 4th Psychological Operations Group, Airborne, which is the Army's Masters of Influence, right? Understanding one thing, that what They formally teach you as sanction, and what you actually dig up and learn is forbidden. An easier way to say to remember it is classroom knowledge is sanctioned and tame. Forbidden wisdom sets the soul aflame. You're going to be given quite a bit in this. Hopefully, you have the proper discernment to understand everything going on, how it all works. That's the key, right? Today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Here's what I'm suggesting you do. I am suggesting that you go to jovanlovesgold.com and you at least have a discussion with our partners at Goldco about why you need to have gold and silver physical ownership, physical assets in this world that is increasingly going digital. And yes, our money will go digital. There's no way around it. So why don't you bop over to jovanlovesgold.com, request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. It's a very important part of the process of you as an American. Make sure you protect yourself. And by the way, as always, so you understand, I have a base feed. And when I say a base feed, that's where the signal technically originates, and that's on Rumble. Rumble.com/Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. Yes, you can see me on YouTube, heavily suppressed. X, Instagram, Getter, Gab, MeWe, you name it, it's there. But we do that so you'll always know if any of one of those feeds get interrupted, you always know where the base feed is. You should take the time to click and follow there at Rumble, so you always make sure you get the best feed. So we're going to dive into, I'm going to introduce you to something and some movements that are going on, but I'm going to introduce you to the 4th Psychological Operations Group. This is part of the Airborne out of North Carolina, and it's the Army's Masters of Influence. It's going to be an interesting ride. Share this program right now. We'll get started right after this.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. Fuck around and find out what that is.
Warning! Are you worried that data centers are going to destroy the environment, your life, your family, and your livelihood? Maybe you've heard that data centers are sucking all the water out of the ground and people in the area can't even shower? Maybe you have heard they are causing stillbirth livestock, or possibly they emit so much sound as to make it where people can't go to sleep and people are getting sick from the constant noise. You've also heard your monthly electric bill is going to double, all because of greedy billionaires who don't care about you. Maybe you heard data centers cause cancer? Or, if you live near one, will it devalue your land? What is the truth? Now is the time we need to know the absolute truth about data centers. Understand, gain clarity, and stand on absolute facts by getting your own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's #1 top seller, The Three-Toed Dragon: Communist China's Secret War to End American AI and Data Centers. This fact book, guidebook, handbook, and war plan cuts through the noise with meticulously researched intelligence on the hidden realities of AI data center demands. It delivers actionable blueprints for American victory, From policy recommendations and energy independence strategies to practical deployment models for rural and sovereign systems that bypass fragile grids and foreign dependencies, for patriots, policymakers, energy entrepreneurs, technologists, and every citizen who refuses to live under digital authoritarianism, this is the essential field manual. America still holds the innovation edge, the resource base, and the will, but only if we act with urgency and clarity. The Great Dragon is moving at full speed. The time to seize victory in the AI data center war is now. Available hardbound, softback, and ebook on Amazon. Read it. Arm yourself. Win.
Do you have this #1 runaway bestseller as part of your homesteading library? Introducing the Food Forest Bible. How to create a food forest. Sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security. We all know the system is broken, but food sovereignty and survival is up to you. Will you comply or defy? You will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Or so the system says. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure, natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full-color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once, and have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system, buck the New World Order, and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, back lot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover or softcover. Buck the system. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system. Get your copy of the runaway bestseller, The Food Forest Bible, How to Create a Food Forest, Sustainable, Self-Managing, Natural Food Production for Self-Sufficiency and Food Security, now.
Okay, guys, raise that finger and share this program because we're going to do a dive and I'm going to introduce you to the 4th Psychological Operations Group. They're airborne. And the Army's Masters of Influence. You may have seen something like this online.
And I see the shadow of my profile on the wall.
You've got to get a hold of yourself.
Most people really do not know that we have an entire section of our military that specifically does psychological warfare. I'm going to give you the history of it. I'm going to dive into it. By the way, thank you guys. You know, you sent the Golem Effect book, Precious Pixels, Deadly Devices, and How Digital and Social Areas Creating Killer Kids. Thank you for driving it to the #1 new release. All 3 formats are out there: hardbound, paperback, ebook. Also, I'm hearing from people that are now getting, and this is a big, fat, thick book, by the way, our Three-Toed Dragon, Communist China's Secret War to the End of American AI and Data Centers. And I think the comment I just saw was, it's melting their brain. You know me with facts. You know me with letting you make your own decision. These are two things that are facing us that are very important. And that's why I want you to understand and listen to me carefully. What the system formally teaches us is what is formally sanctioned. What you actually dig up and learn is what is forbidden. And that's the deal. You have to kind of ask yourself, what's the standard messaging? What's the standard word and what's going on? A lot of people are asking me questions because the president's about to do a special presentation about what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. And we are in a massive psychological warfare game that we're going to talk about. How I'm going to help you through this to understand this, what's going on, is I'm going to teach you about the fourth psychological operations group.
Psychologists find that control of emotions can be gained by understanding the stimulus-response pattern. Many everyday things become associated with these primary stimuli, partly by a process called conditioning.
You know what? I like that idea. There are many people in the world who really don't understand. When power corrupts, poetry cleanses. We must never forget that art is not a form of propaganda. It is a form of truth.
You have to understand the warfare using you as a pawn, right, is standard operating procedure in every single country in the world. And if you'll stay with me, I think your mind's going to be blown when you finally understand what it is. But I'll tell you, one thing, like election integrity, when everything, you got to understand, when what happened in 2020 was released, which was planned earlier, I shared with you, even before we were on lockdowns and social distancing for the pandemic, the balloteer, one of the largest ones in the United States, had placed the largest order in history for the most machines to be manufactured in history that would automatically stuff mail-in ballots. Long before any of the states said, well, everything is going to go mail-in because of the pandemic. The system is always thinking many moves ahead. It's the way it is. They're always predicting human nature. They're always manipulating human neurology and psychology. Don't think that you haven't been subject to this in this war. The system doesn't want answers predominantly. Let me tell you why. And I'm going to phrase this to you, and I want you to pay attention very carefully. And I'm going to share this with you so you kind of understand what it is. Let's say you're talking about Serbia and China and Venezuela and all these different things hacking the elections or whatever the case may be. If you had to think in terms of, let's say, an election integrity, an election be hacked, what would be the worst possible thing for the United States of American citizens to find out about the compromise of our elections? I just want to know what you think. If you think through it, okay? So you got Venezuela, and you got former FBIs and former CIAs and anonymous whistleblowers or whatever. People are panicked about foreign interference. I want you to think about our elections, though. what would be the most fearful of all? Name a culprit. What would be the worst, most disastrous culprit, putting a name on it, that the American public could ever find out about our elections? Think about it. I want you to think about it, because you're hearing Venezuela and Serbia and China. You're going to see a Russian resurrection and stuff. What would be, if you could identify the very worst thing in the world you could find out? Name the culprit. Put it in chat. Name the culprit. The worst possible thing you could imagine that would screw with the heads of the United States citizens, and especially those who voted. Do you know what the answer truly is? It was done by our own government. Now, this thought is very, very important going forward in this particular episode. The worst thing the American public could ever find out was it was actually done by our own government. Pretty shocking, isn't it? Why is that? It's because when you deal with it from the standpoint, when you realize your own government and everything is compromised, it shakes your total faith in a nation. When a nation is rocked to its roots, a nation becomes unstable in many different ways. People start defying the police. People start defying all laws. People say, screw you, because you literally are faced with the fact that everything is compromised. Your lawmakers are compromised, etc. So, what would be bad guys and good guys, quasi-good guys, choice to tell you? You got to deal with the American public. You don't want the American public losing faith. You don't want the American public crumbling. You don't want the American public fucking rioting. How can you in one way, right? How can you in one way mitigate public risk? You probably figured it out by now, and I've told you this all along. The system will identify the sanctioned enemy for you to focus your hate and anger upon. The system will always identify for you somebody they have sanctioned for you to hate. Because as chaos is about disfocused, you got to understand it's a double-edged sword. They need you disfocused, but to think you have focus and get you focused on the wrong thing. Why? Now, this is a juncture in any country's hierarchy that you have to deal with. Holy shit. Let's say you're a good guy. Holy shit. We cannot disclose 100% of the truth because the public will become unglued. And it will breed a certain amount of hopelessness, a lot of it. It'll make people feel like there's no way out. And that is also defeating a nation. So I want you to understand in everything, there is this balance that always has to be considered. Because, see, people that manipulate the system, they actually never want to be exposed. So they don't want the truth out because they really don't want to be exposed. So they're also for the misdirection. If chaos happens, they'll capitalize on chaos. If we were to look on the good side, goes, holy shit, if people find this out this way, all hell's going to break loose and we're going to give the bad guys an advantage. That's the careful balance that goes on in any government or any military operations. The system plants, inserts, chooses winners and losers. You learn a lot more by looking at what the system focuses on to teach you that is sanctioned versus if you actually paid attention to what the system does its damnedest to ignore. That's where the truth lies in all of us. And so that's why I'm going to cover for you the 4th Psychological Operations Group. It's the Army's Master of Influence. Let me kind of tell you where this is, because we are a social media society right now. This is called the 4th POG, and that's 4th POG, P-O-G, Psychological Operations Groups. It's part of the Airborne. It's a specialized unit in the Army. So look at people that come out of the Army and what this is and how it's done. And it's an entire special operations community. This special operations community is based in Fort Liberty, which used to be called Fort Bragg, in North Carolina. It's the center of the operations, right just south of Virginia, et cetera, connecting to Virginia. Think of it as the Army's professional influence experts. Professional influence experts. A lot of times, could be election integrity, could be a lot of things. You'll see that, I'm military intelligence or did military data. Where people don't go far enough is to understand, well, what group were you in? You're going to find a lot of crossover in the 4th POG. Okay. Now, its job as a unit, and you can look it up online, its job as a unit is to plan, create, and deliver carefully crafted messages. You've been in this fight. You haven't realized it. On the truth side, you understand it's voter rolls and mail-in ballots. That's part of why they hate President Trump, because he does call it like it is. But the system believes you can't handle the truth. You've heard that before. And so they don't want to fearize you in some of it when you understand it's internal. And so they'll give you enemies, or they'll give you a way to think, well, it's already useless because it's like sweeping a dirt floor, right? Now, you've influenced this on your own because you've been through an incredible process of pushing back on misinformation and being willing to fight for the truth, where people now that it's the machines use carefully crafted messages where they now work in voter rolls and mail-in ballots, but it's still to defer to the machine. So that's some of the influence operation that's going on. But let's go back to this unit. Let's go back to the 4th POG. Their job is to plan, create, and deliver carefully crafted messages. I'll give you an example. If you're paying attention to events going on, there is a rapper who broke a story. He was facing federal charges and in prison. And he paid $600,000 to get a pardon. You can do this homework on your own. $600,000 to get a pardon from President Trump. said pardon did not materialize. So the first thing you're probably going is paying $600,000 for President Trump to pardon him. When you dig into the story, what you really find out is they're kind of a concerted operation. This particular one, 2 individuals basically networked to this guy and basically told this guy, we'll get a pardon from President Trump for you. We'll get this and this and this. And this rapper, to try to stay out of trouble, paid $600,000 to these 2 individuals. And these individuals did not deliver the pardon. President Trump didn't even pay attention to it. But then when you find out that one of those individuals, long-term reporter and writer for the Gateway Pundit, then you begin to understand certain things going on. Because if you dig deeper, you find out part of these operations, which took millions of dollars, are designed to impugn people, to set up people, to misdirect, etc. And yes, I said the Gateway Pundit. You'll be able to, if you do your own homework, you'll find it. Writer for the Gateway Pundit. Now, people typically don't think about these things because we naturally defer. Oh, they say they're patriotic and they say they're this and they're good and they're wonderful and they're whatever. The only reason I bring that part of a story to you is this goes on all the time. And the bad side doesn't want to be exposed at all cost. The good side always has to balance what can the public really handle without going batshit crazy. It's why you can see things in Doge and you can see all the money going out the door. You can see 12 million people getting Social Security checks. But when you understand you have that information and it's one simple step to match it to the voter rolls, then you probably understand why the government makes a choice to not let you see certain things. Because it's bad enough you're getting ripped off trillions in the US, but then to find out what it's really funding is even worse. The system won't let you know it's funding operations against you and I, but the system will always talk about foreign countries. Did it? Now, do you understand? Let's just see. Do you understand why a nation and its leaders, both good, bad, and different, most of them pimps and prostitutes, why would a nation make that decision? Put it in chat. Do you know why a government, an entire nation, will make a decision of that? Won't tell you exactly out of 12 million people inserted onto the voter rolls that were not actually real people and all the information's there. Why would they rather go, Bosnia-Herzegovina versus that simple fact? Well, see, what they believe is they're making a decision for the common good of all. And it's far easier for you to believe it is a foreign bad actor who is the sanctioned bad guy versus when you realize the absolute people you voted for, you placed in, people you think are heroes, are part of a system that are raping the shit out of you. So misdirection always comes into play. Now, this is where you're going to have to slow down and you're going to have to focus on the words I delivered to you, because I have told you it is always about the words. Always about the words. And in teaching you this is why I am teaching you about the fourth POG. Now, their official job is to plan, create, and deliver carefully crafted messages in quotes to foreign audiences. I want you to write this down. Foreign audiences. That's their operational directive. Basically, what they say is that's for enemies, potential allies, neutral civilians, and or entire populations. The directive is to shape how people think, how people feel, and act in ways that help U.S. goals. U.S. goals. It's called verbum vincit. That's Latin. Here is the Latin. I've always told you this. That verbum vincit is the Latin word for the word will conquer. The word will conquer. Not we will conquer, not our badass tattooed boys will conquer. The word will conquer. Now, that's the operational directive of the fourth POG. Okay? This is the entire branch of our government that uses, they don't go kicking down doors and they don't go fighter jet it or anything like that. And it's just important in all this warfare, folks. It's just as important. And there is good and bad in everything. 100%. There is good and bad in everything. But the tools are different than what most people think, right? What most people are led to believe. The tools are significantly different over time than you've ever experienced them for. Now, don't think it's not a warrior. It is, in fact, a warrior. In fact, this is a sanctioned image of the fourth POG. But you probably recognize it or will understand what's going on if you kind of looked at it a little like this. But remember, there's an operational directive that you only do this for foreign countries. You can't use it on American citizens. See, these are the ones, when they say the word will conquer, that use information as a weapon. Bottom line, in military speak, it's psychological operations or PSYOP. Officially these days, it's called MISO. MISO. And not MISO horny. Different MISO. MISO. MISO basically stands for Military Information Support Organizations. The idea is simple. Persuade people rather than force them. Change minds so you don't have to change bodies with bullets. This is a highly specialized team of about 1,000 soldiers. Most of them speak multiple languages. They may speak Russian, Spanish, they speak multiple languages. They understand, and a lot of them come from foreign cultures very deeply. They are also cross-trained in media production, psychology, and human behavior. What do you got it right? Bingo. Now, they're airborne qualified, meaning they can jump out of planes if needed, and they can deploy quickly anywhere in the world. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Anyway, now it was activated in 1967. It was born in the heat of the Vietnam War. Pop quiz. If you had to encapsulate the American sentiment of the Vietnam War, what was it? Baby killers, rapists. And the American public lashed back at and effectively demonized an entire war. You learn it's a mistake. No, what you saw is a cross move CIA in turning this into an official unit, what could really happen if the media prosecuted a war? Yes, your government will make you expendable if they can. And you can agree that the Vietnam War was, in fact, our most prosecuted war by the media. Now, what happened is, back that time, it was designed for propaganda and messaging. They say against the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese forces, soldiers printed millions of leaflets. They ran radio stations, "Good morning, Vietnam," and loudspeakers to encourage enemy fighters to surrender, right? Choi Hoi program, right? To win over local villages. This is where this art became perfected, and they realized what they had. It was shut down, by the way, and then it was reactivated in 1972, and Fort Bragg, and has been going on ever since. This elite unit has supported almost every major U.S. operation: Grenada in the 80s, Panama, the Gulf War, Somalia, Haiti, Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, and many other smaller missions. And in peace times, they kind of have a little bit of a dual role with USAID, helping humanitarian efforts, counter drug operations, and building partnerships with other countries. Does any of this sound familiar to you? But its operational de facto thing is, it's not for the United States, it's for foreign countries, which we're going to look at in a moment, okay? Now, this information fight focused right now is focused on sophisticated rivals like China and Russia, right? I want you to think of them as what they really are. They are like a high-end advertising agency combined with a film production company, a newsroom, a psychology lab, and a special operations unit, all rolled into one with a stated national security mission. Now, the directives are very easy to understand. You'll understand it. I've done a lot of teaching on this now. I'm bringing it highly focused. I'm actually divulging a tremendous amount of information to you if you pay attention. Long before anything's done or released, they actually study the people they're going to attack. Who are we talking to? What do they believe? What do they fear? What do they want? You can see some remnants online of some of their talking, and they say one of the most easiest ways to influence people, I'm going to drop something on you. One of the simplest tools they have found to use is to distribute the information they want out wrapped in a religious message, where what you see is somebody who is, let's say, a wonderful Christian, because you tend to focus on that and have believability. They've learned to repeat scripture, to talk about how Christian they are, but deliver a message that is actually an operational message. And so what they want is they want people to frame a subject in a manner that they blindly trust whoever is leading them wrong. And this is done between soldiers, and they literally, you got to understand, they have incredible civilian experts that analyze culture, religion, social media trends, and even local rumors. It's like market research on trends. If they can find something that sticks viral, they're going to amplify it and put it out there. It's all about shortcuts of the mind. I've told you about shortcuts of the mind. And then their job is also to create messages. They take this information and they create messages. Now, these messages can come to you many different forms in the type of modern society we have today. And so they'll do leaflets, and they'll do memes, and they'll do infographics. They'll even write radio scripts, and they'll do TV spots, and they'll specialize in social media posts. They specialize in text messages, videos, and then putting forth people that talk. Like, you ever wonder how somebody's an ex-CIA? and supposedly are patriots. So supposedly by de facto, they support President Trump. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you think YouTube would ban them. No, YouTube's not banning them. But all of a sudden, they've got millions of followers. And then kind of one day, boom, they'll turn against what you know to be counter-effectively true. See, here's the evil secret. It's not YouTube, and it's not Facebook, and it's not Twitter banning your message or banning people. It is the federal government of the United States of America. I always told you they'll give you people or companies to hate because then you focus on that. Here's the squirrel, but you never look inside to understand what it is. Now, they basically say they've been doing this since 1991 and they'll do it. It was used in Somalia and it was used in Afghanistan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And I told you the story a long time ago when this was first practiced. It was in World War II and planes dropped ridiculously oversized condoms. You know this message. Why does all Roman history and all these other history have statues or statuary with huge penises, right? Or penis amulets, because it's a sign of virility, warrior, and strength. Well, in World War II, they dropped over Europe an ungodly amount of condoms. And these were condoms made for a horse, kind of like what I wear, but that's a different story. But a big ass condom, right? But on the condom in multiple languages was American average. Now, was it so everybody could shag? Maybe. In the woods? All the French women, German women, or stuff like that? No, it was actually misdirection designed at enemy combatants where they get a hold of these condoms, they pull it out and go, fucking A, this is like a latex glove for when you're birthing calves. So you got to pull out the calves so you don't get your hands dirty. It was psychological warfare. And if you think that warrior is coming and they're walking on 3 legs versus 2 legs, well, you tend to be intimidated by them. You understand what I'm saying. This is the psychological warfare that's been practiced over time. It's also why they drive around on loudspeakers, and it's also why the call to prayers in Islam over loudspeakers is done. It is psychological warfare at its bare minimum, right? And then, of course, you know, they have entire television stations, radio stations, or whatever. Now, right now, like if we were to go back to 91 in the Gulf War, the fourth POG dropped from the air about 29 million leaflets that told the people on the ground, you're isolated and Saddam does not care about you. Now imagine in your language falling from the skies. Now, they learned to trust these falling leaflets from the skies because when our guys were going to come in, and most people don't know this about our forces, when the guys were going to come in and just bomb, obliterate the shit out of the area, and of course, you don't want to have massive civilian casualties, you literally drop leaflets that say, at this exact time, on this exact day, we're going to bomb the shit out of your house. Is not going to be here, so hightail it for the woods. Now, the good citizenry would leave. The combatants would keep civilians captive in their homes because they needed civilians to die because look how bad America is. You follow what I'm saying? And so this psychological warfare works because if a government's telling you we're about to bomb your ass, get out of there, we don't want to kill you, then you begin to go, wow, they don't really want to kill us. And then when you get dropped the message, Saddam doesn't care about you, you're surrounded, you're isolated, whatever. Well, that actually forced 80,000, I guess it was Republican guards at the time, Iraqi forces to surrender. 80,000 surrendered just based on that. This has also been applied in places like Faleka Islands, right? They surrendered to the U.S. Marines, heavy military combatants. This was an Iraqi garrison. And all the government did was talk to them through loudspeakers. And the soldiers chose not to fight. Do you understand the scope of this? Do you understand how these operations work? That's why I'm kind of explaining to you that this is called the Fourth POG, Psychological Operations Group, and they're the masters of the Army's influence operations. Okay, in Somalia, they did an operation as well. It was called Operation Restore Hope. They produced newspapers, they produced leaflets, radio shows, etc., explaining exactly what U.S. forces were going to do and say, cooperate with us, we don't want to kill you, cooperate with us. Okay? Now let's get to the directives. The actual operational directive, by the way, there's headquarters and then there's several battalions of this. And then they have regional specialists, Europe, Africa, Middle East, which is Middle East Central Command, the Pacific, Latin America, and the United States. You have the fourth POG, and by the way, you have the eighth POG, right? Eighth POG is a crossover where they actually share active duty loads. Now we're going to, you're probably asking the question, well, do they do this stuff on Americans? This is where I want you to understand messaging. And I've always told you what? Words matter. The directive, the Latin directive, verbum vincet, means it's the word that will conquer. I want you to understand that, okay? Now, you're probably thinking, do they do this crap on the United States of America? They will operationally say no. And what they'll say is they'll quote, and pay attention, words matter, that U.S. law and Department of Defense policy prohibit psychological operations or forces being targeted against American citizens anywhere, anytime, and under any circumstances. They will quote that U.S. PSYOP forces will not target U.S. citizens at any time, in any location globally, under any circumstances. Let me repeat that again. Pay attention to the words. U.S. PSYOP forces will not target U.S. citizens at any time, in any location globally, under any circumstances. And then they have a really good benevolent factor to them. Oh, we'll help with messaging if there's some emergency messaging, like a pandemic or massive floods or whatever. We'll help then with messaging in the United States of America. That's the whatever. Now, the law of where they claim, pay attention, here it is again. U.S. PSYOP will not target under any circumstances U.S. citizens anywhere, anytime, under any circumstances. The law that governs this, you may have heard it, is called the Smith-Mundt Act. Who started teaching you years ago about what Obama did to the Smith-Mundt Act? You will read this operationally right now in the fourth POG, eighth POG, or otherwise. The Smith-Mundt Act was designed to prevent the government from running propaganda on its own people. Now, the videos that you saw that I ran earlier about we are everywhere. We are everywhere. You got to pause. You got to bear with me one moment. You're going to see me pop and drop. The reason you're going to see me pop and drop is I've now lost control of my broadcast studio, which means we can't control anything here. The only option I have is to exit, but I also know the workaround for the exit. So stand by 1 second as I pop and drop. I have not gone anywhere. I am still here. Okay, I am now back in my studio. It's kind of interesting how that happens, how often that happens. And if you pay attention to exactly when it happens, it should kind of clue you in as to how these things go or how these things work. And it's why they hate true technologists understanding how all of this works and what's going on. But anyway, let me basically share with you some of the messaging that's put out.
And I see the shadow of my profile on the wall.
You've got to get a hold of yourself.
Psychologists find that control of emotions can be gained by understanding the stimulus-response pattern. Many everyday things become associated with these primary stimuli, partly by a process called conditioning.
You know what? I like that idea. There are many people in the world who really don't understand. When power corrupts, poetry cleanses. We must never forget that art is not a form of propaganda. It is a form of truth.
Okay, my episode today is I am teaching you about the fourth psychological operations group. It's called the fourth pod. There is also the eighth pod. And I'm giving you some information I want you to pay closely attention to. Now, under the Smith-Mundt Act, okay? Under the Smith-Mundt Act, it basically says that under no circumstances do they target U.S. citizens or target U.S. citizens globally or run these operations on U.S. citizens. Now, here is the secondary operational directive. Pay attention, see if you get it. Back in 2012, when all of this was highly, highly defined that you will not do it in any manner against U.S. citizens, the wording changed slightly a bit, okay? You can look this up. It was under Section 1078 of the National Defense Authorization Act for the fiscal year of 2013, H.R. 4310, Public Law 112-239. I've told you about this. Now I'm going to read you from absolutely forbidden in any manner. I'm going to read you, and I want to see if you understand what I'm saying, right? That this authorization, amended in Section 01 of the 1948 Act, which absolutely prohibited in any form or fashion, was modified during the Obama administration via the Secretary of State, via the Broadcasting Board of Governors, which is now the USAGM, that the government could, which is a slight change, that the government could prepare and disseminate information, pay attention, could prepare. So they say, we do not target U.S. citizens. The modification in there that goes along with that quote, that we cannot target U.S. citizens, is basically that all it does is it develops, prepares, and disseminates information intended for a foreign audience. What's the operational word? And the first operational word that it will not target U.S. citizens, you probably realize the intended word of operational is the intended target is U.S. citizens. And the expansion of this, when you understand the expansion of it, the definition now, there you go, you got it, intended, that it is, they prepare it and they disseminate it intended for foreign audiences. Now, you might realize this word intended kind of goes back to Hillary and her email. I didn't know that I couldn't keep my private government mail on my server. It wasn't my intention to do anything wrong. That's not what I intended. You see how this works? Okay. So, with that said, we're now going to look at this word intent. And I know this has been a lot for you to observe. So let me clear your palate for a moment with a movie that is psychological warfare about DEI. But nonetheless, let me clear your palate for a moment. And we're going to look at that word intended. And something might become terrifyingly clear to you.
Legend says she was the most beautiful woman in the ancient world.
You bet your ass I am. Ah, the face that launched 1,000 motherfucking ships. I mean, it better me.
Before the Odyssey, there was Helen of Troy, and she was, well, kind of loud, proud, and starting drama that lasted 20 years over some basic dick.
What the fuck are you looking at?
If there was a dick in the first place, which no one is really sure.
Hey, who the fuck are you?
Helen, come with me to Troy.
Troy? Say Troy again. Say Troy again!
I dare you.
I double dare you, motherfucker!
Although, I did hear they got some motherfucking delicious watermelon in Troy. All right, let's roll.
Come on, hurry up, nigga. Move, you little scrawny ass. I don't have all day. Shit, you move like a girl.
It's about your wife. She ran off with the Trojan prince.
Wait, hold up. She what? With who?
And we must act now.
The little dude? The one that looks like a girl? Oh, hell no. Oh, this is war, baby. I will march on Troy myself. Well, not by myself. I'm gonna send some dudes first, obviously. Gary, get me 1,000 ships.
Yes, my king.
We got 1,000 ships, right? We got like 40? Fuck! All right, somebody get Agamemnon on the phone. Wait, dude ain't got a phone. Send a pigeon. Hell, send 2 pigeons. That old fossil's probably gonna miss the first one.
Excellent. Everything is unfolding exactly as I planned. I will have 1,000 ships ready in 10 days. Now, it's time for Achilles.
most diverse movie you'll ever see. Oh yeah, we made sure of it.
We are almost there, babe.
Yes, darling.
What the fuck are you looking at? Subscribe before I kick your white privileged ass.
Okay, so you understand we're under a tremendous amount of psychological warfare. So I kind of just watched your palette, maybe seeing you some hot, sexy women. Okay, but you understand what I'm saying. Everything's about psychological attack. I have been introducing you to this in what's known internally as the fourth POG. There are other POGs, but there's the fourth POG. Now, I've kind of taken you through what their operational directive is, but if you look directly at it and you look at basically what's written into the amended section of 501 of the 1948 Act, brought into Smith month, what it was, is it says its work is intended for foreign audiences. Intended for foreign audiences. Right? Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that our media, right? Do you believe our media is involved in United States psychological warfare? Just pop that in chat. If you believe that the United States media is involved in executing psychological warfare on behalf of the United States of America. Do you believe they do that? And of course, everybody says 100%, absolutely yes. So you know this. This is where President Trump, by the way, if you like that little Samuel Jackass part, I put it over on my Telegram. It's t.me/Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. It's the only one I have. I'm not going to ask you about digital currency, but I may ask you to send me new photos. But anyway, you understand what I'm saying. I'm not going to get you into crypto and QFS and shit like that. Okay. I'm not going to send you a message. Hey, how are you doing? Anyway, so you know our media is involved in psychological messaging. And you know that they don't prosecute our media for telling lies. You're probably asking, what in the hell doesn't our media prosecute these rat bastard reporters for these lies? Do you now understand why there isn't prosecution? Did you catch it? It's because, well, voters weren't our intended audience. Well, then who the fuck was? Who was your intended audience? See, because they are legally, right down to the military Department of Defense, from a doctrine standpoint and law standpoint, specifically forbidden to target U.S. citizens. They cannot target U.S. citizens. Do you kind of remember Kerry Lake taking over Voice of America, shutting all that shit down, right? And everybody was in an uproar and judges got involved and whatever. This is part of this battle. Now, President Trump does tell you like it is. Okay? What is the number one broadcaster of news? Okay, so you're not going to go after citizens in the United States. What's the number one news consumed globally? This is where words matter. What is the number one thing in the world where news consumed is globally? Bing fucking go, CNN. Now, what I'm doing to you, in case you're really paying attention, you understand, well, Americans aren't our intended target. Oh, yeah, we know 475 million people globally watch it at any moment in time, and we dominate all of Europe, all of the Middle East, all of Africa, all of Asia, all of Asian Pacific, and all of Latin America. Saudi Arabia, Israel, all the Gulf countries. But that's who we're really targeting with this. It's not targeting U.S. citizens. Did you learn something just now? Did you learn something just now? Because I want you to know the largest media organizations broadcasting news and disseminating information in Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Israel, all the Gulf countries, UK, Germany, France, all the Western and Northern countries, all of the Philippines, all of India, all of Australia, all of Southeast Asia, all of Hong Kong, all of Taiwan, all of Nigeria, all of South Africa, Kenya, and any markets, including, just so you know, Canada is our media. Did you understand what you just learned? Do you understand why in elections they say it wasn't enough to materially change the difference in the outcome of the election? I've always taught you words matter. What I just showed you is this loophole, because all it has to do is truth, you can't handle the truth, that's not what we intended. That wasn't our audience. We acknowledge that American citizens can see it, but that's not our audience. Now, let me ask you a question. At the beginning of the program, I shared with you the actual constitutional crisis that we're in. It's why other people have told you early on that Jovan is creating a constitutional crisis. Do you know where you've heard that before? It's because I tell you exactly like it is. Now you understand that Facebook doesn't suppress my feed, or Twitter doesn't suppress my feed. You understand that the United States government and all these operatives have backlines into social media. They are pulled around social media and they say, this account, you must limit. It has nothing to do with X. Has nothing to do with Facebook. Has nothing to do with YouTube. You're allowed to think it's them. That's why I tell you, it's the stuff you're taught, the classroom stuff, the approved stuff, knowledge, that's sanctioned stuff. It's tamed. Where you get your forbidden wisdom, where you really learn, is the forbidden wisdom is what sets the soul aflame, because that's where the truth lies. So where we are in the crossroads of our country, when you understand that with Doge, why they fight somebody like Elon, because now you have names, information, you know which office did it, you know which office put them on the Social Security Administration. You got 12 million bad people there. They've been there for decades and decades and decades. It's a simple run, which, by the way, has been run and not released, is because they cannot afford for you to understand how that money got used against you, an American citizen. They'll always say, well, no, that's not what intended. We're just foreign governments. We're making sure we're secure. No, it's 100% deployed against you. With the loophole is, it broadcast overseas. And you might have noticed when Dodge came in and cut USAID funding, did you notice how many anchors, MSNBC's, the whole bit, that it all fell apart? Immediately they went off the air. They had no viewers, but they got a $20 million a year contract. Do you understand who's really paying them? And so where we are as a country is this is what requires you to have absolute discernment and understand that words matter. They never wanted you to understand the real issue is mail-in ballots and the voter rolls. They needed to keep you away from it. That's what President Trump has no fear in telling you, but the system needs to keep you away from it. They need you to put your hate over here, to put your focus over here. They need you to think two things. Somebody else has got it under control, and that's exactly why President Trump was really still president while they did Biden from a fake White House during his, there was a studio set, and they need you to believe unfucking believable things because they've got to keep you corralled. Because here's the bottom line. Our elections were stolen, predetermined, selected, not elected, by our own government. It's been in play for a very, very long time. And that's why the laws are written to protect our own government. And that's why there is always the boo-boo excuse. Oh, well, that's not what I intended. Oh, well, that was a hack. That wasn't us. And it's why the system has to keep you focused on machines. Now, here's where the crisis is. Only somebody like President Trump can afford to tell you the real truth. When you watch what he focuses on, you watch what he's pushed. But I can tell you right now, the only thing I haven't done is finally name all the names. But I can tell you right now, election integrity was infiltrated from the very beginning because they need to tell you the demons are over there. Over there. If you were to actually realize that every bullshit story that manipulates us, the United States of America, always comes from some unnamed anonymous source, but this happened in Serbia, Venezuela, that's the loophole in that act that they can't operate actually on American citizens because that's not the target. I just want you to understand how deep, how evil, how whack this war is, because as they say in their vernacular, you can't handle the truth. When you really look at the truth, you understand what President Trump is against, and it is a constitutional crisis. A constitutional crisis that it is our own government that executed all of this against us, and they got addicted to the mega wealth of control and power. They cannot have you seeing it for exactly what it is. And this is no fucking Q drop, you fucking idiots. Oh, President Trump was real controlling the middle here. He was really president. You fucking gobbled the goon gravy. Their balls rested all over your chin when you swear, just like Islamists, you're not homo in any way. You gobbled all the gravy. Because that's what psychological warfare is. It's all kind of coming to a head. It's all a big battle. And by the way, ironically, the Army directive that is 2026-17 basically says now the 4th Psychological Operations Group, which you've always seen out in the open, that all of the social media accounts that have been in play will officially be deactivated August 6, 2026. If you want public information, you're going to go here, but they're not going to use social media out in the open anymore. And that announcement was just made. Does it mean the war's over? Not at all. It means in many ways they believe mission accomplished. Now, you understand how somebody can get dragged into this. It's just like elections where people think that there's no way our elections could be compromised. It's because you don't know how it's done and you're actually part of it and you're just following the law. It's also why one of the key things is to cloak people in Christianity. It is the disarming disinfectant of a rat bastard. They know that they can take somebody out of nowhere, call them an expert, place it over them, all of them wearing crosses, quoting scripture to you, so you don't see through what's really going on. Now, for me, our most important thing to focus on is elections, but fixing elections. I think it is the stupidest fucking idea in the world to say, oh, let's take an expert that will tell you how many people moved in a neighborhood, how many people moved here, how many registered here, how many here registered here. Let's look at this percent. And there it is. And, oh, we'll run elections. That's a con. An absolute bullshit, avoiding getting things fixed, con playing fucking politics. And the one thing I don't play is politics. I cannot, because our country is at stake. And I'm not going to say the liberals can't rig elections and they've, there's all the illegals and they let them vote and they're all finagled with it. But then you find out that the right does it. Well, it's okay because it's the right. Because then we are no better than the fucking militarized left. If you accept half-assed measures, you will always be controlled. Nobody in any way should have control of our elections except the American people. And the one thing we know is the system doesn't trust the people because they believe they know better. But once in a lifetime, at critical times like this, people have rised up to tell you the absolute fucking truth. And you can see it with your own plain eyes. But the common racket is, oh no, it's a 6-degree polynomial because Jesus told me. See, can't even tie a tie. It's a bow tie. That's hard to do. You know how great. It's psychological warfare. And so now you know what's going on in the 4th and 8th POG. All of their social medias are being archived. We're at a critical time in our nation, but you got to understand what is formally taught is actually what is formally sanctioned. In schools, you know it. Don't think it doesn't apply to outside schools. It is up to you to dig up and to know and to learn what is forbidden and see it with your own eyes. I personally believe, as long as we don't have people saying, let's get ropes, we'll get the guillotines, let's get in the streets, I run a militia. That's designed to take our guns. But I think Americans in this point in time can handle the unvarnished truth. The problem is when Americans clearly see the unvarnished truth of how all this is done, heads start to roll in the right way. Lawmakers. And they do not, under any circumstances, want the fucking gravy train interrupted. We, and people like me, are expendable and dangerous to the system. You've got to ask yourself, what do you stand for? And by the way, when you follow the misinformation train and you voluntarily click and follow, that's not about you, baby. That's about everybody in your feed who trust you because they know you're a good person. And when they come across that random account that's supposed to know the special, and they look at it, they go, oh, wow. Well, if Bart follows them, I guess I should follow them. But if you were to look under the hood and you look about reach and monetization so you can keep doing what you're doing, which like on X, where we can't do. We used to do 50, 90 million impressions till I started talking the truth. And that was in any given day. Now it's 1,000th of that, but you can look at accounts that got 3 or 4, 5,000 followers and they got a subscription base, which the threshold is you got to have 5 million impressions in any 90-day period. It's all a game, but it is not Facebook doing it against you. It is not YouTube doing it against you. It is not Google doing it to you. It's Google and them playing along because it's the only way they can keep the government off their back. And the one that's really doing it to us is our own government. And that's what sucks. But it's up to you to understand the truth. I love you all. Share this program.
Did you know there really is a 1,000-plus-year-old abundance and food security secret, which has been kept from modern mankind? Now that secret is published and out in the open, all thanks to the amazing best-selling book, Ancient Secret for Growing Giant Fruit in Small Spaces. Is there really a secret method for growing giant fruit? The answer is yes. But what is even more exciting is this secret method was specifically designed for small spaces. From big yards and land plots to apartment patios and decks, you can grow giant fruit in exceptionally small places, like a garage wall, patio wall, or even your backyard fence. This secret method is truly ancient knowledge, which was exclusively practiced by kings, queens, and the ruling class within their grand palaces, castles, and estates. But thanks to this simple, easy-to-understand and follow book, those ancient secrets are being revealed to everyone who wants to grow their own food and achieve real food security. Think about that. At one time, the secrets and techniques in this book were only reserved for the estates, castles, and lands of rulers and royalty. And now you can do the same thing for your own home. Remember, your home is your castle, and the only ruler you are accountable to is yourself. So why not fashion your home gardens into those which are fit for a king? There is even more than you could ever imagine inside the chapters of this groundbreaking book. Secrets like how to trick fruit trees, which normally take 3 to 5 years to bear fruit, in producing fruit in a matter of months. Or how to use this ancient method to train your fruit trees to not only produce more abundance of nutritious and luscious fruit, but get those fruits to be 25%, 50%, even up to 100% larger than regular grocery store produce. This book is an exciting journey back in time, weaving in and out of various periods in history, filled with fascinating people and the stunningly beautiful lost art of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's bestseller, How to Grow Giant Fruit in Small Spaces. Get your colorful hardbound or soft copy of this amazing bestseller from Amazon. Learn this lost art, achieve true food security, and then pass this along to your children and grandchildren. Don't wait.
Is technology killing our children? Are we inadvertently tuning our precious children and grandchildren into killers? The Gollum effect is real and it is stealing our children. Award-winning, 4-time best-selling author, technology pioneer and futurist, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer presents the definitive manual saving your children, grandchildren, and all future children from the Gollum effect. Precious pixels. Deadly devices, how the digital and social era is creating killer kids. The Gollum effect is real, and it is stealing our children. The Gollum effect is not fiction or exaggeration. It is the quiet, relentless transformation happening in homes, schools, and bedrooms across our nation. Just as Smeagol became the hollow, obsessive Gollum clutching his precious ring, our children are being consumed by screens, algorithms, and digital validation that promise connection but deliver isolation, anxiety, fractured attention, and distorted identities. We see it in the toddler who tantrums without a tablet, the teen who cannot hold a conversation without checking notifications, and the young adult adrift in comparison and purposeless scrolling. As parents and as a nation, we must name this enemy clearly. It is not neutral technology. It is a powerful force engineered for addiction that preys on developing brains, eroding the very qualities our children need most. Deep focus, real relationships, resilience, creativity, and a secure sense of self. Ignoring it or downplaying it has already